Welcome, I am GamerMage0, and thank you for watching the video today. So today I have a very special video that was actually requested by one of my subscribers here, Captain Zebras. Thank you very much. Basically, just asked if I would do a binary clock. I already showed the gates, and I'd not really looked into doing anything like a clock before, and it actually turned out to be a lot easier than I thought, at least the binary clock part. I wanted to take a step further and actually make a digital clock based on decimal and do some translations. But I'll show you that part here, and the binary part was actually not that difficult. So thank you again, and let's test it out. Now I'm only going to go up to 15, so we only do 0 to 15. Basically, if we go over that amount, it's going to be too high. I will describe later why that is. So let's start off with something simple. Let's add 3 plus 1, so we're going to get a 4, right? It is going to take it just a moment to get that 4 in there. There we go. So we have a 0 and a 4. Nice. So let's turn off that one, and then let's do a 5. So 5 and 3. There we go. 0 and an 8. So 5 plus 3 is 8. Now let's test this one out. I don't know. Let's do 8. So 8 plus 5. 13. There we go. Alright, so it doesn't matter which number you choose on here, like I said, as long as it didn't go above, because it all gets converted anyway. So let's actually let a 1 and a 1 come through here. That way we can kind of check out and see what's going on. Now, right behind this, and I have it divided by blue and red, so blue is one number and red is the other. It doesn't really matter which is which. I just couldn't mess up this half going to one side or the other. There are definitely better inputs, and if you flip multiple switches, it's definitely going to mess up the lines coming this way. So there are definitely better input methods. But this is the one that I chose because we were just going to make the clock thing work as quickly as possible. As you can see, it shows a 2 here. It was more going to be about the binary calculator. So we have the 1 selected over here. Now I added this for 0. I thought I was going to need that for some reason. I don't know why, because binary form of a 0 is just all zeros. I only have 4 lines here, which is part of the reason why I can go up to only 15, but that's not the reason why. This part wasn't that going to be problematic, but I only used 4 digits, and so the maximum is 15. I'll talk more on that in a little bit here. So we have the 1's place here. So it inverts the signal, sending it through here, and inverting the signal allows this red torch to be on, which lights up this area here and sends in a number. Same thing over here. It's a little weird because I have them going different directions a little bit, but the point was, it didn't matter which direction the signal was coming on here, it just needed to go to the different inputs on each one of these sections for the binary part. So in this case, it comes on over here. Alright, let's take a look up. So now each one of these red sections here are comprised of XOR gates and AND gates. And then these ones also have, in the green, OR gates. So now, just to kind of show you, there we go. Yeah, it's not actually going down. Okay. So if you remember, an OR gate means if either of them are on, it will turn on the light. So if both of them are on, it keeps it on. Okay. So we'll have this gate right here. So turning this on turns this off. Turning this on turns that off, and then sends a signal through. This is an AND gate because I have to have this one on and this one on in order to turn that on. This one here is the opposite. It's the NAND gate. So we'll turn both of those off for a second. So a NAND gate is pretty much the opposite almost. It's not exactly the opposite though. So I turn that one on and I turn that one on in order to turn that off. If either of these are on, that'll be on. If either of these are on, it'll be off. So the other part here is the XOR gate. So the point of the XOR gate is it doesn't matter what you switch, it will change the signal. Alright, so let's take a look here and let's actually break it down. So now let's get into binary a little bit. Now, generally speaking, each position of a number, so binary has, if you think about it, the decimal has the ones place. This would be the tens place, the hundreds, the thousands, and this light over here I'm not using, but that would be the 10,000s place. Okay, but because this is binary and they can only be represented by a 0 and a 1, each place doubles. So this is 1, this is the 2's place, this is the 4's place, this is the 8's place. So why 15? Well, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So with 4 binary digits, I can get up to 15. That one right there is a carry. I'll explain more about that later, but technically that means we can get up to 16 if there is a carry for it. So let's actually go ahead and get rid of these here. Now really I just want to make this as simple as possible, so let's just think of a number like 5. So in order to make a 5, we have to use the 4 and the 1. So let's come over here and I'm going to make the top number 5, 1, and sorry, the 4 and then the 1. Alright, so now if we want to read this, because we only have the one number there, that number plus a 0 is pretty much just going to carry straight down. And there we go, 4 and 1, so 5. So 5 plus 0 is 5. Now this section here, let's add 1. So 5 plus 1 should be 6. Obviously. So there we go, the 2. So we have the 4's place and the 2's place equaling 6. Now if we add 2 instead, that should be 7, right? So 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. Notice this one over here is on. So how does this work? Let's actually go through that now. Now, when coming into this, because I didn't really work with binary before, I thought there was actually going to be something adding signals together or something like that. Really, all it is we have the XOR gate here in the purple. And you can see each XOR gate. This first place only needs the one XOR gate, and I'll explain that in a moment here. So you turn on this light, and then the one at the end is going to turn on because it flips the state of the XOR gate. And that's really as simple as it is. Now, this one here, you flip it on. Well, if you think about it, we turn 1 on, it's going to be a 1. We turn the second one on, it's going to be a 2, which means it has to carry a digit over. As you can see, the 2's place lit up. So all we did was flip states for the 1's place. So how about the carry then? Let's go into that. So that one is just an AND gate. So if both of these are on, it's going to carry the number over. Now this one will carry into an XOR gate, and this is where we needed a second XOR gate, because we can do the same thing. If you notice, this one's on. If we flip one of these, it's going to carry over and turn that off. If we flip this one on, that one's going to stay on, but that one's going to turn on. Because every time you flip these switches, it flips the XOR gate. Let's try that one more time, at least from here. Watch that center area. That center area there lit up, and that center area turned off. And it's really as simple as that. So you have to take the input from it, run it into this one, bring it out, and then put it into a second XOR gate to compare the carry. And then that comes out this way. So basically, if you have one number because you got to think about this as like 3 different numbers being added together. So if we have one number coming in, it's on. If we have 2 numbers coming in, it's off, because you're going to have a 0 there instead. If you have 3 numbers coming in, we'll think of that like 11, at least a binary 1, 1. And the 1 is carried, and the other one stays here, so it's back on. So the XOR gates will just flip the states, and that's fine. So what about the carry? Where does that come in this case? Because we're adding 3 numbers now. Well, actually, this is actually not as hard as I thought. We had to do an OR gate into a NAND here. Or sorry, an AND. I don't know why I said NAND. So if both of these is on, if one of these is on, we're not going to get a carry. Or sorry, we are going to get a carry. But it's only going to go to this part. And we're only going to get a carry because this one's coming in. So it lights the signal up and sends it over to the next part. So we have a carry. It's not this gate here doing the carry. It's this one here. And the signal just comes down through here. And up through there. Right there. So now if we flip the state again, now that signal's on. And this one is doing the carry. So we just have the carry coming into here. So as we demonstrated earlier though, this is simple to understand by, like, if we have a 0 coming through, we'll turn just one of these off. So if we have nothing coming through at all, that light should be off, and we shouldn't have a carry, which we don't. If we have a 1 coming through, and we can do this one, well, we're going to have this place on, right? And it's not going to carry. But if we put a second number in, let's do this one here, it's going to turn that off and carry 1. If we put a third number in, well, we still need the carry, and so it doesn't matter the fact of which one of these AND gates is on. Either way, we have a carry. But now we have the additional 1 in this place. So then we can come up with any number that we really want within those 4 digits. So, oops. Now obviously I'm doing the translating for this, so I mean, let's do the max number. Right? Yeah, let's just add max plus max, right? So we have 8421. Let's just turn everything on. Well, you can see 8 plus 8 is 16, and that one is a 16's place. So if we do an adding of a 4, so 8 plus 8 plus 4, we now have a 16 plus a 4, so 20. And that's what it is. Plus another 4 should be 24, right? 16 plus 8, 24. Add a 2 to the 24. Well, that one just lighted up the 2, as you can see. So 26. It moved. So the 2 was on earlier. We added 2, and now it's a 4. So 28. There we go. So 16, 24, 28, 29, 30. So let's go ahead and actually take a look at the next part here on what's going on. So you can see the different gates that are coming through here. Hopefully you can understand them now and what they're doing. Each one of these sections, the big red ones, are exactly the same. This part here, I just didn't move into another section here, but that's the carry. I didn't really need it. I built it for some reason, but I realized I don't need it because going over 16 doesn't work. And so if it gets turned on, it will actually come over here and turn that light on. So hey, let's do that. Let's actually turn a 9 and a 9 on. There we go. It's over 16. So that's actually pretty simple. Let's do 2 plus 2, which equals 4. Now let's go to the next section. So this is going to be where I explain why I only went up to 15. So right here we can see that we have this number on, so we added 2 plus 2, so we have 4. So that signal comes through here and it gets inverted. So through here we can see we have the 4, so we just have one signal coming through. And it's turned off over here. And I'll show you why in just a second here. We'll go down this way. So that one being off allows that torch to be on, which allows this torch to be off. So if the signal's on, so the one that's sending the 4, then it does not turn this on. If it's off, just like this one here, it lights off, up. Which coming down to here, this one is off, so the light's on. This one is on, so the torch is off. So this right here is another example of a AND gate, only this one is the NAND gate essentially. So if either one, both of these must be off for that one to be on. Now the second one down here, and we'll go back to this one here, if any of these is, so right now it's inverted, so I'm just going to say if any of these is on, like this one here, I know this is actually off, but like because it's being inverted, it's on, then it'll turn the torch on, which will stop it from working. And again, turn it off. So this is kind of like a mix between a NOR and an OR, sorry, a NAND and an OR gate. Now, as you can see, let's take a look and see if we can find any down here that are on. This one right here. So this one is being turned off by this and by this. And the point is that when I first started building these, I only did them one row high just to try and convert the signal. But the farther down I got, it started turning on other numbers down here because they had some of the same digits. So for example, this being the 1's place, the 2's place, the 4's place, let's say I had a 2 on and a 3. Well, either way, this one's on. So now anything that had the 2's place on was now on. So I had to find out, make it so that way for the 2's place, for example, if the 1 was on, it would turn it off. If this was on, it would turn it off, and so on and so forth. Now each one of these, and let's go a little bit backwards over here, but they come over here to tell us what number we have on the clock. Now the clock is essentially on the back of this thing. I have just these torches. So notice the white signal here is off. Gets inverted to send redstone power through, which turns off the redstone lamps. So this is off. Essentially the clock is off. Now the white one here represents the bottom row, the gray one the middle, and the black one the top. Then the different colors in between each one of the grayscale was going to be the first, or the bottom one was going to be the right side, and the upper one was going to be the left side. And then up here, the orange and the yellow, the orange being the right side, the yellow being the left. Notice on the bottom, the blue is on, and the right side is on. The purple is off, the left side is off. So now we come over here, and for, let's not look at the 10's place, let's do this one. Actually, let's do the 4. Okay. So you come up here, it's going to put the blue one on, and that's that right side. Then we come up, and then we need that gray one on, because that gray one is that center part. And now we're going to need the next 2 on, right? Because we need the left and the right. There we are. The orange and the yellow are on, and we don't need that black on. So I just put a block wool, or block of wool there, and then put a repeater on top of it. And then that just sends a signal through. So basically this way I could say if the 4 is on, then the 4 is going to look like this, and then it'll turn it like that. And I just did that all the way across. As you can see, I built more than I need for even up to a 0. But what about a tens place? Because I need to be able to turn that one to a 1. Well, if you notice here, anything that went to a 10 or higher, so a 10 just had the 10 on. But if we went to 11, the 11 has the tens place and the 1s on. So the red line here would essentially go all the way up, turn this red line on here, and all the way down here. Now, before I show you that part here, on this clock, I only need a 0 or a 1. It's either one or the other. So the 1's going to be on at all times. That one part there, there's no redstone switches or anything that's going to turn this off. That one's just going to stay on all the time. I don't need anything for the center part because we're never going to need it. So all I did, excuse me, was send the signal to the bottom one. This right column, you can see, climbs the whole way up. So the section didn't need it, but it was just easier to transfer the power up the whole way like this. And then the top part gets the signal here too. So now all that to say, and I brought this backwards to kind of show you that, why only 15? Well, add the 0 and that becomes 16, right? So we have 16 digits that we can show. It's 0 through 15. Well, if I add on even one more binary digit, now we have 32. Or 32 different possible numbers. Add on another one, and now we have 64, 128. Well, this becomes really complicated really quick. Well, not complicated, just really tedious and massive is what it is. And then you'd have to expand this a lot farther, and you'd have to keep going. You could probably make a second row to do the same thing and just turn it on all the same. But at the end of the day, this is just going to get really annoying. The same thing would work all the way down. This wouldn't be a problem to continue doing this update. Notice I planned on it initially, but I ended up having to back out of that when I realized how much work that was going to be. So that's actually one school of thought for translating it. Excuse me. There is another school of thought. Geez, excuse me. The other school of thought for translating it has more to do with shifting digits, and I have to admit I don't really get that one. That one has to do with breaking everything down into binary code that could be divisible by 10. So you don't really even need, so you could add them together and not go over a tens place. The problem is I don't really get that method, and you're using a lot of gates, a lot of different gates in close quarters, and I don't really get how to do that yet. Maybe eventually when I figure it out I'll do that, but until then this is what I'm going to do because that's a lot easier. But either way, I've got that core principle part. This binary calculator is easy enough. I could make that thing go up to all the way up to 8 digits without really much difficulty. This one's not that big of a problem. It's mostly for the digital clock that becomes a real big problem. So anyways, hope you guys like that, and thank you very much for watching. If you have any other recommended videos, like I said, this was a recommended video by Captain Zeros. Thank you again. Go ahead and let me know what you'd like to see. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I've actually never really worked with binary before, never had a reason to, and so on one hand thought they were going to be a lot more complicated than they were, and I started working on it. In fact, the very day that I was asked to do the video, I pretty much already had this part already worked out. It didn't take me long at all to figure it out. It's this part here that took me a lot longer to figure out in order to really understand, and that part was what took what was so difficult. So again, thank you guys very much. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to see future videos, and we'll see you next time. Bye.